Hello everyone, here is Moonlight Soul with my co-host Marissa from Growing the Flow, and we're getting together to talk about this super exciting and unpredictable Aquarius New Moon with a surprise at the end, so stay tuned. Welcome Marissa, it's amazing to have you back.
Yes, thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
Cool, so how's it been for you energetically in a recent weeks?
Well, you never know what you're going to get. Every day is new and it's fast moving, I would say. Is it Wednesday already? We're here on Wednesday.
Right.
Yeah, it's fast moving. There's a lot of moving parts and different areas I'm noticing being highlighted, not only just in my personal life, but with my clients and friends. Just things around health and well-being, things are happening there. A lot of things bringing us into the physical body and material. There's been a lot of that type of energy coming in with, I think, just feeling this call to get grounded, and really come into a feeling of just getting some stability amidst things that can be quite unstable, and just sort of going within, calling on that inner strength to navigate these times, because there's just a lot of moving parts and there's a lot of things shifting daily, moment to moment, right?
Yeah, and I feel especially after the Leo full moon because you have placements in Leo and we both Aquarius rising, so it was opposing our ascendant and all that. I feel that so many things became illuminated that we've been then processing over the past couple of weeks. That a lot of things became highlighted, and with this energy, the need for grounding. I think it's still this Mars and Venus still currently in the sign of Capricorn until next week before they have the conjunction with Pluto. And being in Aquarius season, I think is necessary because like you said, everything is happening quickly. It's all at the accelerated 3 times forward movement or something. And it is really important to still be able to bring it into our human experience, and with all these illuminations and aha moments becoming conscious to us, we need to be able to process it quickly. And it's not always possible because I feel that that time has sped up, but our body is still acclimatizing.
Mm-hmm.
Which
Definitely.
I feel that potentially why a lot of people might be struggling with the health issues right now because the body's like, I need a break, I need a break, I can't cope with all of this.
Absolutely. That I agree completely. That's what I was thinking, like health and well-being and just exhaustion too, like just being
Mm,
tired or just not feeling really present, and there being this call for getting grounded. And it's like a lot of people in their month ahead readings, the Four of Swords came up a lot, and that's a card of rest and recuperation and just sort of retreating, putting down all of those thoughts and ideas and the need to analyze and use logic and all these things, while simultaneously just allowing and surrendering and resting. That was a common theme I was seeing for a lot of people, and just people saying to me, like, I'm trying to get a good amount of sleep, but I still wake up exhausted. And it's like,
mm,
I really feel that the physical bodies are just not caught up to how quickly this Aquarian energy is really picking things up and moving, and how quickly we're being called. You and I were using that word pivot,
yeah,
like handing it out like candy at the end of the year, like pivotal. It's pivotal, but it is. It's like you have to pivot. There's all this
right.
energy of like your focus being called in so many different directions. And that was another theme that had come up. I think it was Capricorn full moon, right? Where it was hocus focus, that I had brought in this phrase of like hocus being a word that means distraction, and focus being like what we're called to do. But then there's this thing, there's always something that's calling to our attention, that whether we're seeing that on the world stage or it's happening in our lives, with just having to constantly be ready to shift and change on a dime for where I'm putting my focus, where I'm putting my energy, and then calibrating, just getting to a
Mm.
place where you can bring that all into alignment.
Yeah, and I really feel this is so much to do with this Pluto's move into Aquarius, and actually this will be the first new moon with Pluto in Aquarius and Uranus, the ruler now direct, whereas with the full moon in Leo, it was still retrograde. And I really feel what you're just describing is these like people are a lot of people are insecure, let's just say, about all what this Pluto in Aquarius is going to mean. A lot of people are excited either way because it's Aquarius ruled by Uranus. We don't really know what it's going to look like. So it's in a sense like, oh yeah, I'm excited, but actually my body is kind of like, what the hell just hit me, you know? And with this Mercury conjunction to Pluto just took place on Monday, and this is still going to be present for the new moon in Aquarius, it's like we have to start seeing reality differently, which is not so easy because we were either, even though a lot of people are living in the past or in the future, not very much in the present, but we need to be able to successfully combine all three. So it's like things of the past are coming to our consciousness for resolution. We need to be able to ground and be present in the current moment and integrate this energy, but at the same time, we see it in the future, and it's all happening right here, right now. So I feel with this Mercury, now in Aquarius in a new phase conjunction with Pluto, starting the 20-year cycle of them conjuncting in Aquarius. This was the first one. This is a beginning of us starting to actually implement our multidimensionality and multidimensional way of existing on this planet. But the brain might be quick, but the body needs to ground. So that's why I feel, and I 100% agree. I've also been experiencing this every morning, struggling to get up, where normally I don't struggle. I'm a morning person because the body is tired, because we astral travel, and then we are like, you want more from me? What do you mean? I'm still dense.
Right. Yeah, so I think that that's definitely been key and continues to be really important to try to implement some of those practices to really get grounded, to come back into your body, into the present moment, and maybe implementing some simple things that can help to do that when you start to feel that sense of detachment in the way that, you know, keeps us from finding our bearings.
Overwhelmed. But I also feel that with this trine actually that's happening today as we speak, Venus is trining Uranus that she's the ruler of, and Venus is a skip step. She's squaring the noses of yesterday exact. This is really about pointing us towards the self-care. We need to up our self-care because, like we've been both talking about in our videos, the more the world is getting crazy and faster outside of us, we need to be able to create this time in our everyday reality where we take care of ourselves, because this is what is helping us to actually integrate this energy. So today, this Venus making a trine to Uranus, I also feel that this has something to do with it, because Venus still is in a Capricorn, and Capricorn is a slow moving energy, and it's about, okay, what is the structure of reality? Is it actually supporting you? Just like I know you used this analogy many times about the willow tree, right? That it's until it's got this very strong roots, it's just like a feeble stick. It's not gonna go crazy up and robust until the roots are settled. So I feel that right now, especially approaching this new moon in Aquarius, this is kind of what is very important, because once the Aquarian energy is fully settled, after Pluto moves into Aquarius for the last time in November, it's a full stream ahead. So we need to be able to find these strong roots before that takes place.
Yeah. And so this is really the place where the seeding is happening, right? This new moon is where we really have an opportunity to bring forward, some intentions and sort of seed planting that we're then going to see slowly, perhaps, but then quickly coming into fruition at some rate,
Right.
coming forward. So yeah, this is definitely one to pay attention to for sure. And there's just a lot of things lining up here that are really pointing to new beginnings and really, again, like you're saying, like turning inward. And this is really the whole theme of this 8 year and the strength energy from the tarot talking. And we'll talk too about some other places where we see that reflected about inner strength and that coming from within, because in order to, as within, so without. So we're really being brought in here right now to focus on where we do have the ability to really create what it is that we wish from within, so that we can do that part to bring it without. So I'm very curious to see. I pulled the cards for the empowerment pack earlier, so I'm super curious what's going to come forward here for us from our cards today with the overarching theme and some guidance. So what do you
Absolutely.
say? Should I bring out the Queen?
Let's start, and then we can implement more wisdom into the cards.
Yes, our storyboard will start to come into form. So we're going to pull from the Queen of the Moon Oracle, as we do, to see what's coming in to just sort of kickstart the conversation. Ooh, self-love just flipped out along with self-reflection. Oh, interesting. So yeah, we're definitely getting a validation there from the cards about what we were just saying.
Yeah, we love the Queen of the Moon oracle. It's always so spot on.
It really is. It's amazing. I'm like I said, I'm really curious because I'm still marinating on the card that came forward earlier. So I'm very curious to see what we get here.
So yeah, if you guys are curious to hear what it is, you need to sign up for the empowerment pack.
Yeah, yeah, I'll fill you in at the end. I am offering it a la carte, so it's definitely one to tune into. Thank you. Um, okay. Let me build up the suspense. Okay.
Oh wow! Number
Paper.
8.
Number 8, the path. Yeah, so standing there at the bottom of that ladder, we're like, I don't know. Do I want to go up there? Like, this rickety ladder that leads, though, to something that looks amazing, this portal to this, universal potential that's out there. It's funny, this card, and I don't know much about this reference, but she gives me Alice in Wonderland vibes. It just reminds me of Alice. So I know that there's all kinds of analogies from that story about moving into another place and time and all of those things, but the path. So we have this card coming up with the path, and yeah, it's like the first rung on the ladder, right? So it's like one hand over hand sort of making our way up. There's many steps yet to come, but it really is moving on up. I mean, there's no stopping it. There's only one way through this portal, and it's up.
Absolutely, and I really, really believe that the Aquarius season, Aquarius age of Aquarius is really coming into manifestation from this new moon onwards, because this is the first new moon in Aquarius in our lifetimes anyway, with Pluto in Aquarius. And this is a new moon, and Uranus, the ruler, is direct squaring it. So I really feel that, it's really beginning, it's really starting. So this path is just so perfect. It perfectly underlines it, because we are beginning. We are just about to get on the first step ladder, the first notch on it. This is it. This is it. It really is kicking off from this new moon. It is the seeding, like we can see that there is still a lot of dark we can't see. All we can hold is the vision, because it's not manifested yet. But it's here. It's here. It's beginning, and by the summertime, by the full moon in Aquarius, we'll have much more clarity.
Yeah, you can definitely see this opening is like it's there. We can see it. There is no, like, we talk about it being something that was happening in the future, in the near future. I mean, I know we've been talking about this for so long, but it's really that ball has been set into motion here. And the mantra that goes with this is actually a nice affirmation to use here. It says, I am open and responsive to the opening of the way. So it's like I'm opening myself up and I'm allowing this opening, this way forward. I'm open to it. And so just setting that energy, that template that says, as I take this first step, I'm doing so from a place of openness and willingness. And that's where I think we were just talking about this, and we were joking because if only we had like behind the scenes all the things that we just talked about. But this instant manifestation that's been coming up in our lives in the
Right.
most simple way. And I just thought to myself, like when you were giving me a particular example, it was like, you didn't even mean to do that. Like you just had the thought and there was nothing else to it. Like, and so how does that start? With an openness, with a willingness to just say, I'm open to it. I observe that this is a thing, that this 8 energy is here and it is powerful. This was the whole expectation equals magnetization. What I expect, I'm magnetizing in like that. And it's happening. I mean, we have so many examples. I had one where I came across a contest that was on Instagram for this beautiful deck. I didn't know it was coming out. And I thought, oh, what is this deck? And it was literally the last day. It was, it was in a pre-order state. And there was this beautiful necklace that was available to be won. And I mean, within minutes of me ordering the deck, doing the steps to enter the contest, I got tagged in a post. I won. And I couldn't believe it. I still don't know what I did. I just was like, yes, I am open to receiving that. And what is the possibilities that I might win? And I did, and it's like, that's how I feel like this is saying, like, I'm open to it. And that's really all we need to do to get the ball rolling, to get it going, this opening that's happening. So I'm really feeling that.
Yeah, and I mean the number 8, as we know, it's connected to Saturn, and Saturn is the manifester. Saturn is the last visible planet, and I always keep saying that Saturn is the one that has the power. 8 is also connected to power to turn the formulas into form and form into formulas, especially now that Saturn is in Pisces. And Pisces is the universe. Pisces is the source. Is the everything, right? It's like going back to Pisces, returning back to the source where everything exists. So we really are living in a times where everything can happen very quickly, if not instantly. So that's why it's so important for us to, embody our emotional maturation, so we can take the responsibility for the decisions and the actions we take in. Because it's in order for us to feel free to manifest everything we want, we also have to be free to accept the consequences of these manifestations. So it all has to become more conscious and meaningful. Just like with the Pisces, it's all about deeper meaning, what holds a deeper meaning. So I feel that this really is a year where people will be questioning the meaning and purpose of many things. And hopefully, as the invitation is there to follow certain different paths, they will decide that, okay, I'm just going to try something different now, because we are seeking something of a deeper meaning and purpose over here, not just, the same old.
I think that's such a good point, embodying it, which again is bringing in that physical body and that sense of, bringing together the ethereal and anchoring it in here in some way. And also being conscious of what it is that you're wishing for, what you're manifesting, but also the path. And I think too, what we're seeing is there are many paths and always have been. And we may have been on one very specific path with a belief that this was the path, right? Just like it says here, the path, right? As if it's the only path. And so I feel like there's a lot of different paths being illuminated where we can really observe them and see them perhaps all as valid or all as ways to an end, but really being called to then consider what path resonates with me. And I'm on a path. And does this path still resonate? And does it feel like maybe I'm feeling called on a different path? And the idea of changing paths, there's just so much there that I feel is coming up here to be seen. And that's what I feel is just increasingly, this is just like this giant portal in the sky you can't not see, and it's getting more and more obvious where and that will just continue as we go deeper into this new. So
And the other thing that just popped up for me was that, imagine if the picture was made bigger, there'd probably be more people with more of these little portals, and that literally to me what represents the different timelines. Because yes,
mm,
there is this universe behind her, the sky, the Pisces, the source, and then you have these little bubbles of potential and possibilities, all these different timelines. So you just choose which one you're gonna climb on, like which ladder you're gonna take to climb on. So that's why, again, we need to be very conscious about where we put in our energy and focus on to, because now we are living in a time of instant manifestation. So beware what you focus in on, because then it's going to manifest much faster than it used to. And yeah, why not manifest something that you actually want to experience, which is what I keep talking about in my videos all the time. So it's very essential for people to focus majority of their energy on the things they do want to experience, not the opposite.
such a good point. Yes, like focusing on what we're wishing to grow and bring forward, right? We don't feed the weeds, right? We see the weeds, we know they're there. I'm aware that there's weeds, but I'm not going to perseverate on the weeds, the weeds, the weeds, So yeah, it's the same. And again, it's just a different path of explaining the same message. That's what we love about stars and cards, because when we were like, oh my gosh, like we're saying the same thing, but it's just there's these different paths that you can take to bring forward this message. So I love it. It just feels it's exciting. And, maybe it feels a little like, what do you mean if I can instantly manifest it? What if I think I have a thought that I don't want, And so it's not meant to cause that kind of fear. It's about, an awareness, opening up to this awareness and knowing that when we talk about embodying it, it's like, yeah, like you have this phrase skin in the game, like this is now like an all levels, mind, body, spirit, all getting in on this path forward, and kind of bringing them all together. And to the extent that people might be lagging and struggling on the physical level, especially like we're saying, or if you're having a particularly tough time moving through, because one of the other aspects that could be coming forward is about different emotions that we're processing and ways that, we're experiencing these energies. This is where the self-care, the retreating, the recuperating, that those types of things are coming in as to how important it is for you to tend to that first before trying to charge out there and scale the ladder.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And I also feel that, this, like I said, Venus and Mars still being in a Capricorn. And actually today it's Mars making an exact sextile to Neptune. And next week it will be Venus, because then, they're both going to conjunct Pluto, and then they're both going to conjunct each other, Venus and Mars, all in Aquarius. But at the moment, for the time of this new moon, they're still in Capricorn. So it's like, with these Neptune activations, and these are the last sextiles before the conjunction, we have the opportunity to let go of that which no longer serves us. And I'm sure we'll be talking about this in much more detail next time about, in the Pisces season, because we'll be entering the Pisces season. But it's also about this creating space. So what are we creating space for? What are we visualizing and that we want to attract, but we need to have the space. And I know this was coming up in our conversation, that it's all good to have all these ideas and visions for what we want, but do we actually have the space for it in our life? And that could be even like, for example, as I shared with you, my sister doing a massage course and understanding that, okay, I need to build more strength in my upper body. So in order for me to go after what I want, so for example, in this case, be a good massage therapist for all build shapes and forms, there is something that I need to do for it, which is again the Capricorn, like with the Virgo, the tools that we put into practice to lead us to self mastery. So I feel this is also part of it, that, what do we need to do or release in order to make a space and prepare for this energy to actually be able to manifest. Like be ready and open to receiving, but we need to create space.
Absolutely. Yeah, that completely resonates because, as you know, the intuitive words that I brought through for this month, it was this phrase, the clearing. And it sort of had that double meaning for me in terms of, yes, the clearing of space and the clearing of the debris or that which, has been keeping us from having this place where we can build the new or bring in the new. And then also like things becoming clear, and that's kind of, exactly what we're saying here. But I was thinking that too when I saw the trees over here, the idea of like, oh, you can't see the forest for the trees, because there's all of this, intense, very concentrated stuff going on down here in this physical experience that can really bog down and feel very heavy, that, there's a lot coming up in that example that you were giving with your sister, that I'm feeling about things that need to be cleared and clear out before you can build the new. Before you can head up that ladder, you need to shed some of that excess that you've been carrying, perhaps. So I feel like that's definitely another aspect of this, where there's this opportunity for this clearing to happen, to lighten and be able to raise the vibration for, where we're headed here. So
Because she's gonna climb up, to that portal. She needs to climb up.
yeah, she's going up. And if she's carrying a big knapsack filled with bricks, that's going to make it even harder. So it's like clearing, dropping, releasing that heavy stuff. And this can be energetic, physical stuff, things in our environment that are lowering the vibration or having a heaviness that we're being called to release in order to move into the new. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. So let's get our cards up here so we can see what we're working with. Psychic Tarot this time. So we're going to do this one and we'll pull our 3 cards to see new moon in Aquarius, to know, do, and be in this energy for the collective. It's coming forward. That one's winking at me. Ooh,
Ooh, interesting.
world. Okay, who's in the center of your world? You. It is. It's about coming into self, right? Yeah. Mirror, mirror on the wall.
Right.
I'm seeing that right there. Oh, wow. Okay, let's see. So that was to know. To do. Oh, there's two. Hold on, let me just. Ooh, that one wants to jump out. Let me reset that. To do. I knew this was going to come up, and spoiler alert, it came up in the empowerment pack. I won't tell you which position.
Oh, there we go. Choices,
When you
choices.
said beware, I was like, choose wisely. I was
Yeah,
totally feeling
amazing.
this. 7 of Cups. Yes. Yep. Totally feeling that. So that is to do the action, and now to be
Well, we know that card is always coming up where we are at the crossroads.
at a crossroads, at a choice point. Absolutely. And I'm totally seeing those different paths with the birds at the top too. These different trajectories, timelines. It's so funny. I literally was Googling, because I always say this with this card, those hand signals, like
Oh,
what
yeah,
does
yeah,
each mean? And before we came on, I was Googling it because I was preparing for interpreting this card in the messages that came up already. So this is definitely a significant part of the spread. Let's see, this is to be. Ah.
yeah. Oh,
Okay.
well,
So
well,
we got the
there you
power
got it. There you got it. The Uranus square. That's the Uranus square for you.
disruption, huh? Yeah, talk about compartmentalizing. Remember we were talking earlier about all these different compartments. Wow. Okay. So major, major, right? So we've
Mm-hmm.
got two major arcanas on either end, and in the middle, there's choice, right? There's different directions, there's many paths. So, what to know with the universe, the world, which is this culmination of cycles and coming full circle. And it's interesting because I just heard this today, and I can't remember if it was Amanda Ellis or where I was hearing this interpretation of the world card, also highlighting the physical body and health. There was a mention of, it was an interpretation of the world card that I had never really tuned into before, but it's interesting because of the fact that we started with saying that in some cases, traditionally the world has that laurel wreath where you're inside and they're naked, and so there's a vulnerability, there's an authenticity of the fool's journey being
Mm-hmm.
completed. In the center of that universe is you, and your journey and your path. And so I feel like it's front and center. It's in your face. You're coming face to face with this choice point about what path you're taking and how you're going to take it. And the time is now, because this is a culmination and a completion of a particular cycle, which on the other side is new and starting a new chapter and a new leg of the journey.
This is so fascinating because I'm straight away translating this into astrology, and this world is really like this, especially in this connotation and in this context. It really is the Saturn in Capricorn. Like Pluto is going to have one last retrograde into Capricorn from September till November. So this is the year where things are shifting for us, even though Pluto already is in Aquarius and will be for the majority of the year. So this world to me represents, from the tangible level of the structure of the world, we are at the place where Saturn is in Capricorn, and the new choices will be presented and will have to be made. So also, as I know you've been mentioning in your videos, with this Chiron conjunction with North Node, which is happening, after the new moon. Then we have the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, which is happening in April. And before even any of that happens, we will have the ruler of the South Node and North Node, Mars and then Venus conjuncting Pluto next week. So there are cycles ending and beginning. And as we mentioned at the beginning, this is the first new moon in Aquarius with Pluto in Aquarius, and Uranus, the ruler, squaring the moon and being the ruler of the moon and being the ruler of Pluto. So, and then interestingly enough, later on this year, we will have the Jupiter, which is Jupiter is a planet also associated, not Jupiter, yes, Jupiter is also associated with number 8. It's the frequency of Saturn, because Saturn, can manifest, but Jupiter can, multiply, it can expand and stuff. So it's interesting that this year, Jupiter, after the conjunction with Uranus, will be moving into Gemini, and actually Mercury is the first one of the personal planets that conjuncted Pluto on Monday. So Mercury already is in a new phase conjunction with Pluto. So there we've got the beginnings and the endings. With regards to the world itself, there is a cycle ending. We know that Pluto is ending its transit through Capricorn that took place since 2008. He's got one more go, only for 2.5 months. But at the same time, there is already Pluto in Aquarius for the first time. There is already this Mercury, the choice point in a new phase conjunction with Pluto. First conjunction in Aquarius for the next 20 years. So yes, there are a lot of things that are already seeded and are going ahead, but at the same time there is closing of the old. And then when that chapter is done, with the Pluto and Capricorn transit is done fully by November, by then we better have the choice ready because we're going for it.
It's a new world, right? I mean,
We
yeah, it
creating a new
literally is
world.
a
Yes.
new world that's being seeded, has been seeded, and is going to be coming forward. And so, yeah, we have this active role at the center of ushering in the new world. I mean, it's really profound that that comes in here to know, bring it to the front of mind, bring this forward, because again, there's no not seeing it now. And so it's here. We see it, we're aware of it, we're bringing it in, and we're integrating this awareness and kind of recalibrating ourselves on every level and getting our bearings. But yeah, these things are all coming together and ushering in this new. So that
Yeah,
is definitely significant.
the world, as far as I remember, actually represents Saturn, which is like the emotional maturation, is the self mastery,
Mhm.
So it is like really profound. And then 2 and 1 is 3, which is the Jupiter. So I mean, we have the Saturn and Jupiter. Where are we? Year 8, number associated with Saturn and Jupiter. So the cards are, I mean, you can't make this up.
They're definitely speaking. Yeah. And 3 for me is like, creation and co-creation and collaboration. And that's the thing. Like we are currently actively creating the new with our choices, with our, know that what you do and how you be are the things that are creating what we see when we get to the top of that ladder, what we're stepping into, we're co-creating it. And so it does also bring a sense of humanity to the front too, of course, but to see that, in this big universe with all of these nuances and all of these complexities and levels and layers and all of these components, we're coming face to face with it wherever we are on that ladder, wherever we are in that climb. And it is front and center about the choices we make and how we choose, and that's where we sort of move into what to do with this, what it is that's coming forward. And we talked about this card before with the notion of choose wisely. Now the 7 of Cups is about having choices to make without knowing the outcome, without being able to see the full picture, and up until now and still we don't know, none of us really know, at all. So this is actively happening in motion. So choosing wisely, as we were interpreting it, and I still do, I mean, like even just whatever power we give to words when we say beware or choose wisely, is that I wish to do so from a place of awareness. I want to choose with my wise self when I make that choice. So this is good advice. This is not meant to be ominous or, I might get it wrong. And right away, what do? Go in your head. As soon as I have to make a choice, this is the heart, baby. This is cups. This is the heart. So this is not saying get all up in your head and analyze and strategize and make that best choice based on this, that, and the other. This is bringing us into our heart. Feel it. How does that feel when you see yourself on this path or that path? If I were imagining where I want to be along these points as we go, what does that feel like for me? That's what I'm getting. And the idea that we see them at the end of a dock, it stops here. But like I've pointed out before, he's not panicked. He's not on his feet, flailing his arms. They're sitting in this meditative position, actually, rather reflective. and just observing the possibilities, seeing the different paths. And yeah, these two birds, which we can interpret any number of ways as messengers, as carrying forward two potential paths here, or timelines, or trajectories that, we see coming in here, that, that's what, is being seeded right now when we, in terms of looking at it, bringing it back into the new moon in Aquarius. It's like, these choices that we're making, and, again, still seated. He's not jumping in, there's just sort of a sense of like, okay, when I look at these different paths, like, what do I wish? What do I want to bring forward? And I'm contemplating that through the heart and from a place of wisdom. Again, I want to choose wisely. So I want to bring forward that perspective as opposed to being all ungrounded and kind of frantic and panicking that I might choose wrongly.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. And actually, there are a few things that pop up for me. Like, of course, it's about the heart because, as we've been talking about, and a lot of other people, that we are entering the age of Aquarius is actually is about the heart because it's in opposition with Leo. We are in a year strength, which is ruled by Leo. So this is also what I've been talking about a lot in my videos or the interview that I recorded early on today, which is that human 2.0 is the connection of the human and the higher self. So we are entering into the new world that implements both. It's this integration of the higher self into human self, so we can have the multidimensional experience where we're not limited just by our ego that operates on the database of the past experience. It's a copy paste of the past. So it's like, okay, well, if you tune into your heart, what choice can you make that actually leads you to the light? Because you have the guy literally facing the light, right? And I also feel this interesting because the world represents Saturn and 7 represents Neptune, which is like Saturn in Pisces. And with the word coming beforehand, again, it's showing to me that, well, what we are experiencing in the world right now, it's the result, the manifestation of everything that came before. So we have the totality, Pisces, Neptune, totality of understanding which one of these things still holds a meaning for us and which one of these things we want to actually take with us and give a form to it again, and which one don't. So again, like you said, there is no right and wrong choice. It's a choice that is made from the heart. Is the choice right for you? But if we just use our brain, the brain is useful, ego is useful because it is the knowledge of our ancestors that says, if you see a tiger, don't go playing with it, or don't go crossing the road where there is a car or like through highway or something. So this is all the database of all our previous past lives and collective learning and wounding. And ancestors is not just all about wounding and drama and trauma, it's also the gifts of it. So our ego holds all of that. It's the database of the everything that came before. But now with the age of Aquarius, we're moving beyond. Aquarius is beyond. Uranus is beyond Saturn. It's beyond. So in order to get there, we need to start implementing the heart because the heart is not polarized. It doesn't operate on three-dimensional frequency. Heart is five-dimensional. So the heart responds differently to things. It doesn't go like ego, like, oh, let me quickly judge it. Is it right or wrong? Is it good or bad? What is it? The heart feels differently. It communicates differently. It's a very different way of communicating. So that's why I feel it's very interesting that these cards came next to each other, because the world card is saying that, yes, whether you like it or don't like it, the old era is over. It's ending. At this new moon in Aquarius, we are seeding a new earth. We don't know what it's going to look like because guess what? There are all these portals, timelines available, and everybody's going to choose wisely or, well, whichever way you choose, but it's going to lead somewhere. And also, what I wanted to mention with regards to the connection of the first and the second card is Aquarius represents the people. Just like you said, it's the people, it's the collective. So you acting from your heart and connected to your authenticity, which is also Leo, it's all the same archetype, you're going to attract and connect with the people that are right for you. They are in the same frequency, and it doesn't make it right or wrong. It's the same like you've been saying, trying to fit the cog in there is a shape in one
Where
shape.
it's a round hole.
There you
Yeah.
go. There you go. But we were being conditioned and told that we all have to fit everywhere, no matter what, because this is where you're meant to fit. And if you don't, then you feel bad about yourself. But the age of Aquarius doesn't represent that. It's about individuation. It is the bridge between the heart and, you know, the mind, the higher mind. And this is where we'll be making new choices. Hopefully, some of us not so new choices if we need more lessons of the same caliber. Either way, the old is shutting, you know, it's literally like the world is saying we are done, this cycle is over, you know, the higher self is looking, the universe, multiverse, all looking and saying, okay, humanity, you had a free will, you have a free will, but this chapter is not available anymore. You know, this game is out of stock, it's outdated, we're going somewhere different now. And that's why we are going to be presented with a choice, and we will hopefully make the choice from our heart based on all the evidence we have from the manifestation of previous choices.
Yeah, there's so much there. I mean, just like the idea of what you were saying about the collective and, you know, this energy, whatever choices you're making, whatever path you're taking, again, the hand signals, it's like you're signaling and calling in that like frequency. So the more aligned that you are with your choices, this is where I believe this instant manifestation, it happens like magic because all the energy lines up. And so once you're following the signals and you're in alignment, it all just falls into place. It just naturally unfolds. Whereas previously, if we were working against or going against, we were creating all of these diversions and blockages and things that kept rerouting, and then we're trying to recalibrate, and you know, so there's this flow, it's greater flow. And then in the, you know, again with the signals, it's calling in more of the like. So whether it's the people, the places, the things that come on your path are going to be naturally aligned, and the things that are not are just going to fall away. And that brings us into this major message of, yeah, especially, I mean, on so many levels, especially because of the way that it's depicted here, what you were just describing about being in the head or being in the heart, and previously operating off of a template like these were two completely separate ways of being, that these are all like separate. I mean, look at how there's this box between the head and the chest, and the chest is blocked with these hands tied, covering the heart, you know, not accessible. And as a result, there's this rigidity and this, you know, separation that, you know, now must dissolve. And so, no, you don't have to make this choice or that choice. You have free will. You can choose to continue that same old template, but what's going to happen is it's not going to stand anymore. It's like you can't build a house on that shore because you're not going to have there's nothing there to sustain it and to hold it there. So that's where the divine intervention of the light comes in, that bolt of lightning, that's something that comes along that will move you. So this is where we have a choice, and this is the do, you know, of just receiving and allowing this change to move through us in, you know, by you know, removing some of the barriers and the separation and allowing it to flow. So I really feel that like this is just as usual, which is like a perfect story of exactly how these energies are moving through. And the tower is, yeah, it's disruptive. It's disruption because, you know, the dock stops here. Like I was walking, but if I keep walking, I'm going to fall into the water, and just moving my legs is no longer going to keep me afloat. So I'm going to have to do something else, you know, like there's just this sense of like the buck stops here, you know, here we are, and we come to this place where it's time to assimilate and bring together all of these different aspects in order to build the new, because all that old is falling away.
Well, the first thing that popped in my mind when you were talking about, well, you can try to build on the same earth, but I'm literally thinking like either like a big wave will come and, you know, like when you make a sandcastle, you know, like you can build it as many times as you want, but the ocean is still gonna come and take it away. Or like building on a tectonic plates that are moving now, you know, things are unstable. So you can build on it, no problem. You are welcome to build on it, but is it gonna stand? Who knows? But actually, what this card, especially in this, you know, looking this way, what it really represents to me is the wounding of the human collective, you know, the trauma, because the tower actually represents Uranus and Mars. But because we're talking about Aquarius and this Uranus square in the Aquarius New Moon, really like what we really can see apart from just the manifestation of the former intentions and conscious subconscious desires, it's also the wounding, the trauma, the unhealed aspects of ourselves, the shadow, and him having, like the heart flows, which is what you and I were discussing in our private conversation, that if people were traumatized and wounded, this is exactly how they feel. They feel fragmented, they feel disconnected from aspects of themselves, even aspects of their own body, but they feel closed because they're trying to protect themselves. The heart is not accessible, which is why people that become a serial killers or psychopaths, this is literally what happened. That there was a time in their life where something happened that completely disconnected them from the heart, which created this sense of division, that I am not you, I have nothing to do with you, like you are better gone from my life because we are not connected, which by now we know even from the quantum physics theory that is not true, because everything is impacting everything else. So I feel this Tower card has so many layers of meaning, apart from the fact that, yeah, you can build a sandcastle and what's going to happen to it is God's will. But it's in the other aspect, which is this trauma, wounding, and are we still acting out, reacting from the place of wounding, or is it from a place of higher self and consciousness? Doesn't mean we're not having a response, but again, observing and based on, okay, I catch it, I'm aware, I'm responding this way because I'm still vulnerable, because there is still something I'm healing, this cup, this heart, or like when somebody is having a bad day, for example, that I was having a cranky time during the weekend because I didn't give myself what I needed, but you were like, okay, I know where you're coming from, I'm not going to take it personally, if I don't message you or something. And this is what I mean when we start perceiving things from the place of heart, doesn't make it acceptable. Like this is where we know we need to put boundaries if people are not respectful, but also trying to understand with the heart, okay, I know where you might be coming from. And that's why I feel with this Tower card that it has so many meanings. But the main one is that the change is coming. I mean, it's the number 7, which is the opposite to Chariot. We've gone too far. Now the change is coming for sure. And we have 2 sevens next to one another, right? 16 and the 7 prior. So there are a lot of layers to it, and the main reason for this change is because it's time to close the cycle of all these hurt people, hurt people, hurt people, hurt people. These generations of wounded inner children created ancestor wounding, and ancestor wounding is creating wounded inner children, and so it goes. And then the star is saying, well, it has to stop somewhere. So it has to stop now.
So much there. Yeah. Wow. Really profound. And there were 2 sevens in the empowerment pack spread too, by the way. Exactly. 2 sevens. And I
Wonderful,
mentioned it.
wonderful.
So wow. Um, fragmented. What a great word. Yeah, that was another word I was seeking, because it was like compartmentalizing and separate, and even what you were saying earlier about our ancestors and the template of like, run from the tiger, or fight or flight, but also the gifts. And they all have a role to play. They're all a piece of the puzzle. I always say about this card too, that it reminds me of the game Jenga, that
Yeah, yeah,
tower,
yeah.
all these pieces, and you've got to try to just extract the one without lest the whole thing fall down. There's these different aspects that have been operating separately or fragmented, and this is just within ourself, let alone in society, and the misconception and the story that said that we're separate, and that we don't impact each other, and all those things, as you're explaining, has all been disproven. That this is about bringing all of those things together and harmonizing. That's another thing, the energy of 6 was coming up too for me, with just balance and harmony, and bringing into greater equilibrium some of these aspects, because they all have a role to play, as we're saying. Like some of these old beliefs, they served their time, they had a purpose, they're a part of the foundation that we have all been living off of for a very long time. So it is a part of our story. But there is a new world being birthed, and it is going to be made from our choices. And there is a disruption coming in because, some of these things are long overdue. There's still things that are kind of working against it. So we feel this instability. I love the plates too, the tectonic plates. That's a great visual as well, because there's just this shaky ground, and that's where we can feel sort of untethered and unsure. And, understood, that we would. But there's a lot of opportunity here. On the other side of the tower comes the star, and the star is bringing forward wishes and hope and healing and renewal. And of course, is an 8 energy because it's card 17, right? So we could go all day with our
It's the
numbers.
Aquarius, and
We
it's the
could.
card of Aquarius.
And it's the card of Aquarius. It came up this week for our collective card pull on my sharecast, and it was actually in the position of a potential blocker challenge this week. And it was like, how can like this beautiful, star making wishes on a star and following our true north be a challenge? Well, because if I'm feeling insecure, if I'm feeling ungrounded, if I'm not even clear on what I'm even wishing for or hoping for, then that can be feeling blocked. It can be feeling challenged to say, that's a lot of pressure for me to come up with a wish, especially if you're saying it's going to instantly manifest. Again, I'm in my head. I'm in fear. I'm in a place of, disempowerment. So once again, we're brought back to coming back into the body, getting grounded, and, coming from that place of discernment and standing in our power to say that, again, even the shock and the instability that we can feel in the disruption of the tower, it's all serving us. It's all spurning us into action and movement. And so if you're here and you're already tuning in to messages like these, and you're already aware of these energies coming in, even if we don't fully understand them and certainly don't know where they're all going to lead, you're ahead of the curve when it comes to getting to a place where you understand a little bit of a bigger picture. You can see it and it's starting to come into focus, and you're starting to be able to see that. And again, when you align the head and the heart and you open to that, and this is happening through your healing, through the shadow work, all of the things that you've been doing, then you are well on your way to being in a place to choose from your wise self, and remembering that you can always choose again. So just because you make a choice today, you can be free another day to say, this doesn't feel right. It no longer feels aligned. Maybe it's not what I was expecting or thought, or, I feel like I've learned everything I can from this path and I'm going to choose a new one too. Yeah.
Absolutely. And like really what like deeply resonated with that, like the perspective of the thing, and seeing things from the higher perspective, seeing, that's the Jupiter, that's the 21. Now that we understand the old world, like we have the opportunity to see it from the higher perspective because we know what came before, right? But what I really like, what this, especially 3 cards, but all 4 of them really are talking to me. It's really interesting because I really feel that, well, there is a new world being birthed, but at the same time, we understand the totality of the old world because Pisces age is over, Capricorn, Pluto is almost over, all that. And then, of course, we can see on the other side with the Tower card that, oh, yeah, we understand what led to this point, all the trauma, all the, all the fragmentation of the soul, which is what you and I were talking about also privately, about how our ancestors' soul got squashed to nothingness because they got so disconnected because of the external world, because of the conditioning and the belief system that they bought into, that they completely lost the connection to themselves, and it made them feel so small, and that's what created all the suffering. So the old world, the 21, the old world is the result of the 17, of the fragmentation, of the closing of your heart and stuff like that. And the card is so perfect being in the middle because it's saying, okay, we know the old world, we know it got us to this point where history is recreating itself because there is nothing new under the sun. So we have the opportunity to stay close, like the guy is, like this is what created this world, and we can stay close. We can just feel in a victimhood mentality that you don't understand. This is what happened to me, and this is what we can see. This is what we can see with our ego mind, with our senses, or as the card in the middle is saying, or you can look at it from the higher perspective, from the place of your heart, which doesn't polarize, doesn't judge, and that you can decide to choose differently, that will create a different result because hurt people making the same choices under the same old circumstances are going to lead to the same outcome, which is why we keep reliving the same thing. In many cases the history is repeating itself. So these cards are so perfect because they're literally showing you a cycle is ending, new old world is ending, new one is building. The world that's been created as a consequence of the soul of the human being not available because people became disconnected because of the trauma and suffering which got passed on from generation to generation, alongside with the gifts. Let's not forget the gifts. And now we are at the choice point. Do we allow the history, the ego, the program, the database of the past to create a different another world like this? Because I'm sure there is a timeline like that available. Not, I don't think it's gonna be on this planet because this planet is ascending, but there is time like that available, even if it's just in your own uh, little experience. But all in all, we are entering a completely different era, different age where yes, you have a choice, but this is how this era gonna operate. So if you want to be experiencing this new world, this Aquarian world from this higher frequency, that this is the frequency which we need to match. And in order to get there, we need to open that heart. We need to make that choice. But we are free and welcome to do the other choice if we want to keep recreating the same thing. And this is where the higher perspective is so important, because we are not going to be able to get there if we just look at the logical facts that, oh, but this is how it is, this is how it always was, you don't understand, this is what happened to me, this is my history, this is my trauma and stuff. And it doesn't mean don't feel your feels, because they play a role, and you don't want to re-traumatize yourself by gaslight yourself. But we need to learn to hold both, which is what we've been talking about all along. The new world we're creating is operating from a very different place. We need to learn to identify reality through the multidimensional level, which includes both the heart and the mind.
Yeah. And there's something in everything you were saying there. I just kept thinking about, what you were saying about our ancestors and their, limited perspective that they could not see. They did not have the vantage point that we have now. So there's this energy of transmutation coming up for me, where it's like those things that you probably would categorize as the wounds that we inherited from our ancestors can actually be transmuted into gifts,
Mm-hmm.
because, you know, when you know better, do better, right? So when we see the limitations of the time and spaces that our ancestors came from, and the consciousness that they were operating from, we know better. We've seen bigger. So now that we have, it's actually a gift that was built on the backs of their experience. It's like
Absolutely.
the rungs of the ladder. And it's like each layer and level that actually, yes, there's great pain and trauma and wounding that happened as a result of those limited perspectives and those belief systems. But actually, we would not have been seeking out a higher vantage point had it not been for waking up to the idea that this can't possibly be all there is, or that there's more. So there's this expansion. I mean, I feel like we could just keep going on this because it's so big.
Absolutely.
We will, because it's going to keep coming up as we meet again for the subsequent lunations, because it's just going to keep building on it. It literally is like these layers of the disruption card, the ladder of the path. It's all like building on it. But with the key being that we do want to resolve, dissolve, transmute the stuff that's rotten underneath that can no longer stand. We don't want to build our house on that. We don't want to plant our tree in that shifty sands, because we want this to be something that we're doing very consciously, choosing wisely, using the gift of the benefit of what we know now that they did not know, or that we did not know before this moment. So there's this, again, the world is turning, and these things are coming forward, and
And
yeah, it's
this is there are two things. Well, one of them is Chiron. Because
mhm.
Chiron is the key. And this is the wound. The wound, just like you said, that we're gonna build the biggest strength on the top of this key. The key, the wound, the suffering of the past is the key to a better future, because it offered this gift, because exactly because they went through it. We went through it in previous incarnations. We go to the point of we have a totality of this experience, Pisces. We have the totality of this circle, the world. We go to the end of it. We juice it out from every possible angle and direction. The source understands this kind of living 100% and more. So it literally is. This is where it's so essential to implement that multidimensional way of perceiving reality, that yes, even the most atrocious and traumatic things in the world hold a meaning and purpose. And this is it, is the key. Is the key, is the wound, is the wounded healer. And this is the key to Uranus. It's from Saturn to Uranus, from the world to beyond, to Aquarius, which is the place where we'll operate from the place of your heart. With the Leo in opposition, the star, Aquarius, healing. What is in opposition? The strength. How we become strong? Well, through tests, through trial and error, through resiliency, right?
Yeah.
So it's just, yeah, we can just, we could just keep going. This is like endless theme because it's multidimensional and it's opening up us to this multi-dimensional reality that we will be experiencing even more so once Uranus enters into a Gemini.
Mm. Wow, so more to come there. But wow, yeah, this is definitely bringing in some powerful messages to really contemplate here ahead of this new moon on Friday. And then on the other side of it, there's more new beginnings kicking off, right? So I don't know if we want to get into our little bonus poll
Yes,
now.
you
Um,
you introduce it. It's your card.
Yes, so Saturday marks the Chinese New Year, the Lunar New Year, and it is the year of the wood dragon. So this is yet another path that you can look at where you see these synchronistic messages being reflected because in fact, and so we have this beautiful deck that I've been enjoying. It's called the Chinese Five Elements. And I had gotten it for the empowerment pack this month and, wanting to bring forward this wood dragon as the totem for this year ahead, which, it must be said, the message is you have the strength, right? So knowing that we are in this 8th year and we are looking at the strength card in the tarot and the energy of the lion and taming the beast within, the wood dragon comes forward as an earth element that again is bringing us down to earth and bringing forward some really powerful messages. So I know I'm going to be sharing some things on my Sharecast about that and more about the Lunar New Year and some of Chinese astrology. But we thought we would actually pull a card from this deck for us collectively
But
today.
Marissa, just show the card again because I want to point out something very important. Well, doesn't this look exactly like your higher self being present in your human self? There is a tree, the solidity, the
Mhm.
groundiness, and this dragon looks very ethereal to me. So to me, this really represents the Aquarian age. Your soul is present, your higher self is embodied in your physical self. So I think this card is perfect. It's just perfect.
It's like, this one here, it's as if that's the essence that's emerging, right, from the center of the universe, of which, our physical bodies represent that in the flesh, in being, in material. So yeah, I love that. Not to mention the tree. I mean, we've been talking
Exactly.
the whole time and the roots and where we're planting our seeds. So yeah. And then this is card 41. So it's bringing forward the 5 vibration, which is change, which brings in chaos and confusion, but it's also the number of freedom and rebellion and so much more. So it's just mind blowing all the connections between each of these many different paths. And that's what's so amazing, why we could just geek out all day.
I know, right? Because like 4 is Saturn, which is the stability, the tree, and 1 is the magician, and magician is the unlimited potential of what you can manifest.
Yeah, it's so awesome. So every card in here is gorgeous and has been so interesting. I'm actually going to do one of these for each person that does the new moon reading with me as well. So I'm working with this deck more, but let's pull a card now for us collectively. And I put the wood dragon back in so we can just see what wants to come forward. And I'm enjoying learning more about this as I understand the different animals from the Chinese zodiac and what they represent. And then there is one of that animal for every element in this deck. So I've seen a lot of rats, dragons, dogs have come up a lot in the cards I've pulled in the last just 7 days, even though again, it feels like it's been weeks. But
Right.
February, right? It's crazy.
I mean, we'll be entering Pisces season next weekend.
That blows my mind. I feel like we were just saying, oh, it's Aquarius season, like it just started. So crazy. All right, let's see.
Oh well, it wants to be seen.
I mean, it is their year after all, the wood dragon. So, okay, I think that means we need to share the message, is what's coming up here because, like I said, I'll be going deeper on the sharecast, but to the extent this might be where you hear it, let's see what's coming forward here with the wood dragon. So, the message is you have the strength, right? The wood dragon is one of the 10 spiritual pillars. So it represents tremendous strength and faith in a positive outcome, even in the midst of adversity. The elements, yang wood and the dragon's yang earth, may seem at odds, but the dragon's mighty power, spiritual connection, and confidence, it's just like the strength card, perfectly complement yang wood's compassion, kindness, and natural leadership abilities. Hidden water and wood elements in the dragon nourish and support yang wood in the heavenly frequency. There are no obstacles that the dragon cannot overcome, and when heaven and earth meet in the wood dragon, the result is a formidable combination. Receiving this card is a sign that success is yours. You have developed the grit and inner strength needed to reach your highest potential. Keep your focus on being of service for the common good, and you can always count on the divine to assist you in living your purpose. Recognize that the more influence you wield, the more conscious effort you need to put into being a good human. The wood dragon highlights great power and integrity. With power comes responsibility, and you are more than ready for it. Be assured that you are on your way to reach a significant milestone in your life. You've worked your way up and dealt with many setbacks along the way, and you've not only persevered, but also enjoyed the journey and become much stronger in your skills and wisdom. So then the last part of the messages here is it brings us a message from heaven and earth. So the message from heaven, live your life authentically and choose your actions from a place of compassion, the higher frequency of yang wood. And the message from earth, mindfulness practices such as qigong, yoga, and meditation will help you connect the dragon's empowering, grounding earth element. Being anchored to reality is key to manifesting your dreams.
Wow, this card literally just describes the entire year.
It's like everything we just said right there in that card. So that's so
Wow.
perfect.
It's
Wow.
so profound, so profound. And like the dragon in the tree really reminds me of the first card, the number 8, with the portal.
Yes.
He's like, saying, I'm gonna help you to manifest this portal, but you have to acknowledge that I'm you.
Yeah, I'm already within you. And that's the thing I was feeling when I saw these two, I was like, mirror, mirror on the wall. Like I'm expecting to see something outside of me or I receive, there's this aspect of as within, so without. And it's actually right here. It's me. I'm in the center. It's me, it's you, it is the universe. It's all in one. And so it's just really you can see how this idea doesn't even belong anymore. This dark concept of separation and hierarchy and how it comes in here. Everything else is feeling open and circular, and we're coming into this central part in the center versus this old way, that is closed and is bound and not free. And so, wow.
Yeah, it's
Really
literally that's one card. It's literally like, this is the don't feed the weeds. Any news that comes into your consciousness, and if it's part of the old world, part of the old program, you go, thank you very much. I already learned this lesson. Like I can create better because that all came from externalization to the power to someone else, and that someone else just played the role to teach us that no, it was you all along, and it's time for you to step into your power. And this wooden dragon is it's just perfect. It's just
It
perfect.
really is. I know. I love that. I love that we tried to pick a different card and it was like,
Be sticking
you're
with that.
getting this one back because that's
Exactly.
the whole thing. That's what we're ushering in. That is the new that's arriving, and it's happening this weekend. So, it's here and it's exciting and it feels actually rather invigorating and uplifting and hopeful, so I hope that's translating for everyone and that doesn't mean you have to feel that way. If like again, it doesn't negate the things that are going down on the ground or underneath in the root system, those things that are, but again, those things serve to be the squeaky wheel, the ailment, the thing that gets our attention so that we can seek out these things that don't belong, the things that have served their purpose and are ready to be transmuted. So even feeling a sense of discord or discomfort or something that's very heavy or difficult is also that hidden gift, is also that thing that is ready to transmute into something that is actually going to be really key in your transformation.
Absolutely. Because like I said, there is no mistake. Everything's for the purpose and meaning, and we are exactly where we are meant to be, and we go exactly where we choose to go. And the fact that we have a new moon in Aquarius, this super potent new moon in Aquarius happening alongside this new moon, Chinese new moon with the so Chinese New Year, which is the lunation one in the dragon, which represents generally the strength and vitality and being your own leader and all these kind of things. There is again no coincidence. No coincidence. Everything is so divinely orchestrated in the universe.
Yeah, and it's beautiful. And like we said, just from setting the intention and coming in here, and it really can be that simple. And that feels strange. It feels foreign. And so that's where we're still kind of calibrating, like, what do you mean I won the contest? What do you mean this came together? Because it's still foreign. It still feels kind of different. But yeah, it's neat that, how this all just unfolded simply by just setting the intention and bringing that energy to the table.
Yes, because the brain is conditioned that, well, there has to be all these steps to get to where you need to go. Well, not in the age of Aquarius. we operating on different frequency now.
Yep. Yep.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I know that you have places to go, people to see.
Oh
So
yeah, the natives are restless out there. I'm seeing some stirring. So
so tell everyone, Marissa, what you got going these days and where can people find you?
I am preparing to do our new moon reading for the empowerment pack. So I will have a link to a special offer for anyone who would like to come along to see this 5-card spread that I pulled earlier and those messages along with personal card pulls for you. And the Sharecast over on the free Marco Polo app. That's just a little place tucked away from the noise of social media. That's where I'm pulling cards weekly on Sundays for our collective week ahead and offering a complimentary card pull for you. So that's probably the best place to start to connect on all the things.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And if anybody wants to connect with me, you can find me through my social media. The handle is at moonlightsoul369 or my website, moonlightsoul369.com. So thank you again, everyone, for watching. And thank you, Marissa, for joining me for this delightful conversation. And I hope to see everybody next time. Bye.